past and present. I'm Tim Curran.
And I'm Roland Bueller.
And today it is episode 51. We're a little bit later than normal with this episode. Life got in the way last week, so we weren't able to give you a show, but we're going to do two shows this week for you. So we got episode 51 and then our special anniversary show coming up in a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, full disclosure, we had a little bit of a COVID scare that we were worried about, so we got that out of the way. Thankfully, nobody here's got it, so we're good. But we're also back to social distancing again. I'm at my house and Tim's at his house, so it kind of sucks a little bit because it doesn't sound as good when we're together. But we'll get through it. We got through it last time. We'll get through it this time.
Absolutely. So today's topic is ECW's November to Remember 1995. Hard to believe that was 25 years ago.
Yeah, I think Taz is still coming out on that show.
And Jason.
Yeah, both of those. Yeah, there'll be a theme there. I do remember that. That was that's what Tim and I were talking about before we started too. Like, we watched the show a week ago, so
yeah.
Sorry if it's not gonna be as in depth as it usually is, but we'll do our best. But we'll give you what we can.
Yeah.
we had a little more, a couple more things to worry about with our special anniversary show coming later on today. It was a little more all over the place, so we couldn't just watch one show. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it made it a little bit harder to try to go back and watch a whole show plus watch everything else we had to watch. So
yeah,
we're going to have to go with our memories. Hopefully we have enough in the tank to remember what we saw.
Yep, absolutely. So let's get started. There's actually quite a few matches on this show. A lot of them were really short.
Oh, and before we do get started, this was supposed to be Battle Bowl originally.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
But we pulled an audible because Tim watched about 2/3 of the show and said it was brutal, and we decided to just pull the nose up and go somewhere else because he said it was not very good. Although there was good names on the show,
yeah,
the show wasn't very good for what Tim. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch it. He watched it the day before me. Thankfully, he saved me from it. So we decided to pull an audible, and here we are.
Here we are. So let's get right into it. Our first match is Don E. Allen. That Donnie Allen.
Yes, not Donnie. Donnie. Paul E.
Paul E. James E.
They had a thing, apparently. It was his brother.
Yes. He's going to fight the Broad Street Bully to a no contest in about 1 minute and 16 seconds. Bubba Ray Dudley comes out as the guest ring announcer with his stuttering gimmick. And with Sign Guy Dudley and Big Dick Dudley and Chubby Dudley and Dances with Dudley.
And all the Dudleys were there.
Except for Devon. Devon wasn't there.
Was it Big Dick Dudley? They said just got out of the pen. They were talking about how one of them just got released from jail.
Yeah, right.
It was quite the array, and Bubba did great until the very end.
Yep.
He tried to stutter the whole time until the very end.
Nope, he didn't stutter. He was trying to do the "Let's get ready to rumble" line, and so he got frustrated and beat up Donnie Allen and the Broad Street Bully, and then for some reason he just pinned the Broad Street Bully.
Yeah, apparently he was in the match.
Even though there wasn't really a match going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it makes the old mannerism that Jerry Lawler used to say about extremely crappy wrestling. Kind of makes it stand up there on that first match. It was entertaining. It just no one knows why there was the pinfall.
Why was there a pinfall?
Per se. Yeah. So how do we know how long it was, really? I mean, it was never really a match. But anyway.
Nope, not really a match.
But Bubba wins.
Bubba wins with all the Dudleys.
All 27 of them.
Yep.
It was a parade of Dudleys.
And like we mentioned, speaking of 27, that's about as many times as Jason, Knight, and Taz will show up during the show.
Yeah, I think if you add them together, it's probably in the 20s.
Yeah.
These guys were out like every match. One or the other was out for every single match, I think.
Yep. So we have Conan and Jason Knight next with Taz as the special guest referee.
And yes, that is that Conan.
Yes.
The one that ended up going to going from ECW to WCW, joining the NWO Wolfpack. That Conan. It is that Conan. In case, like I said, this is 95, so it was before that. But I want to make sure people realize this is that Conan.
Yes. And I think he was
with that other person or whoever. This is an actual person we want you to know who it is.
Yes, that's true.
So.
So Conan's going to get the quick win in 14 seconds. Taz going to get involved here. Not really much of a match to discuss here. Just a quick victory for Conan.
Yeah, it's too bad too because Conan's a great wrestler here. I know he's actually still around. I mean, he was in the AEW trip to Las Vegas. He was in that. Made a cameo in that video.
Yep.
But I mean, he was one of the guys behind bringing Santana and Ortiz to Impact.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's still relevant today, and back then he was a hell of a wrestler. It's too bad they didn't have something better for him on the show, which it would have made the show better if he actually had a match that meant something.
Yeah, they could have used him a lot better. I mean, it would be kind of cool if he got involved. We'll get into it a little bit later, but the Rey Mysterio Psychosis match, if you could do
even any match. I mean, you could have had him he could have been involved in the main event somehow, and it would have made he's such a good talent that he could have made anything good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when he was in WCW, I mean, Flair, when they put him off the main card, they put him with Conan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was fighting Conan for the United States Championship. Or the light heavy, or whatever championship it was. It wasn't the main championship. But I'm just saying, they believed in him enough to put Flair with him. So that says a lot right there.
Yeah.
If he didn't go, Flair wouldn't want to work with him.
Nope, absolutely. Next up is a singles match. You have Stevie Richards. That's Stevie Richards from Right to Censor and the Blue
No, that was Steven Richards.
That was
totally different guy.
That's true.
Totally different guy.
Yeah, that's true. And he's going to get a quick win over El Puerto Riqueño, if I'm saying that right, in about 3 minutes.
Alberto Del Rio.
No.
not that guy.
No.
There's a lot of no-namer type talent at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us know who exactly they are. But,
no.
I mean, sorry, Paulie. Sorry.
The most notable thing about this match, it was the debut of the Blue Meanie. He was in the crowd and gave a customized shirt to Stevie Richards, one of those cut-off type shirts.
Yeah, the tube top type shirts where it only covers the breastises.
Yep.
doesn't cover anything under that. And for Stevie, it was not a terrible look. For Blue Meanie, there was a lot of belly.
Yep.
I mean, same with us. If we were wearing that shirt, there'd be a lot of belly. So, not a good look for either one of us, clearly.
No.
Stevie pulled it off okay.
Stevie did all right with that.
Yeah, way better than us.
But that's I don't really remember much about this match except it was the debut of the Blue Meanie. So I mean, that was, like I said, the most notable thing about that one.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't like I said, the beginning of this card. I texted that to you. I was like, the beginning of this show started off really slow and then it picked up.
Yeah,
it was probably Battle Bowl-esque until it started picking up. Again, I didn't see the beginning of it, so we can all ha-ha at Tim for that one. Thankfully, he was nice enough to not let me suffer through it. So. But, like I said, it seemed like we knew one person out of all these matches.
Yeah.
That was kind of a theme, and it made it a little bit hard to follow, but they were also quick matches, too, so it wasn't painful, I guess. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. If they had drawn these matches out, they would have sucked.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next match, we have a little bit of length here. Went about 11 minutes, which is more than the last couple matches combined. You have the Pitbulls, Pitbull 1 and Pitbull number 2. Creative names there.
Yes.
With Francine. They're going to get a win over the Eliminators, which is Perry Saturn and John Cronus. And our friend Jason Knight shows up again.
Yeah, he had a knack for showing up for some of these matches. As you'll see as we go on, him, Taz, they all just seemed to come out whenever they wanted. It wasn't exactly that storyline-esque for them to come out. I mean, sometimes it made a little bit of sense, but you almost expected once we got going that one of those guys was going to show up.
Yeah.
And this match was actually, I think when the card started picking up. We can knock on the Pitbulls' names all we want, but they put a good match. The Eliminators at one point were thought to be the leaders of the tag division in ECW at one point. They had some good stuff. I mean, Perry Saturn went on to bigger and better things than John Cronus did, obviously, but as Saturn's talented, he got a mop over.
That's true.
So that right there. But Saturn is a great talent. And obviously this is before he was kind of out there, but I mean, it's funny because both these teams kind of looked a lot alike.
Yeah.
When they came out, they had similar gear and it was interesting. But I think this is where the show picked up a little bit because I've at least heard of all these guys.
Yes, I've heard of them too. Yeah, I thought I thought, like you said, I thought this is where the show kind of turned around a little bit. Decent match. You had some length. They could have some time to show what they could do. So yeah, this is not a bad tag team match at all. Our next match, probably the best match of the night, in my opinion anyways. It's Rey Mysterio Jr., a young Rey Mysterio Jr. here, getting a win over Psychosis in a Mexican death match in just under 15 minutes. Rules of this match were kind of a little funky. If you got pinned or submitted, you had to answer a 10 count. So there was about, 5 or 6 pinfalls throughout the whole match. There's a spot off the guardrail in the crowd, which was really cool. But this high flyers, lucha libre wrestling, I thought this was a really good match.
Yeah, it's pretty much a take on a last man standing match, except you have to pin them first.
Yeah.
That's the main difference. But I mean, it was anything goes. It was falls count anywhere, essentially. Style type of match where, like you said, they were brawling in the crowd, in the guardrail, jumping all over the place. And like you said, I mean, how old was Ray here? 20-ish, if I had to guess. I mean, he can't be. Yeah. I would imagine he can't be much older than that. 'Cause he's right around 50-ish now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he was very, very young, and obviously, everybody here was pretty young that's still around. I mean, I guess it's a little bit redundant, but obviously that to see, especially Ray, who's still going and now has his kid going with him, it's a testament to Ray's career. I mean, Ray went from ECW, stuff in Mexico, to WCW, to WWE. He left WWE for a while, killed a guy, came back. I don't know if I don't know what the exact outcome of that was, but I mean, it was an accident. He kicked the guy and ended up breaking his neck, actually. Unfortunately for him, if it were me, I don't know if I'd be able to wrestle.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I read something with that too, that he was actually dead before the 619 hit him. So right. There's kind of varying accounts on that. I don't think.
Well, and I think he actually supposedly snapped his neck when he got drop kicked in the back for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we're not going to talk about someone dying. Like, we're not going to dissect that. But I mean, it's just a testament to Ray being overcoming a lot. He had the death of Eddie Guerrero that affected him. In the early 2000s. So I mean, the whole Benoit thing. He wasn't as close with Benoit, but still, the Benoit thing wasn't good for any of those guys to get through.
Yeah.
So it's interesting just to think about, 25 years ago, Ray was doing it, and he was probably, if not one of the best to do it at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Psychosis could definitely go as well. I mean, he probably more famous for his stuff in WCW.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ray probably is too, to some degree. I mean, he had a longer run in WWE, so the fan in me thinks of Ray I think of him getting lawn-darted off the TV truck by Kevin Nash from the NWO. I think of stuff like that. Not good or bad, but I mean, from there on, after that, Psychosis kind of does peter out a little bit, and I don't know if that's maybe the WWE didn't see anything in him, or he didn't want to wrestle for him, or whatever. But Ray ended up staying, and he's put one hell of a legacy forward. So,
absolutely. Next up is a tag team match, and there is a whole bunch of stipulations with this one. So see if you can stay with us here. It's a tag team match for the World Television Championship and the ECW World Tag Team Championship. And that is not all, ladies and gentlemen. Whoever scores the victory will become the number one contender for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. So hopefully you understand all of that. That is kind of confused. That's a lot of stipulations.
Years later, I still don't get it.
Yeah, so. That's a lot of stipulations in one match.
Yep.
So your ECW World Television Champion is Too Cold Scorpio. He's teaming up with the Sandman with Woman. Woman is Nancy Benoit.
Nancy Sullivan at that time.
Yeah, Nancy Sullivan at that time. And they're going to get a win over Public Enemy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge. In about 16 minutes here. It's the Sandman who kind of got knocked into one of the Public Enemy guys. He's going to get the win, and actually, your ECW World Television Champion, I think, is the Sandman at the time, right?
Sure. there was so much going on here.
Yeah,
I don't remember who had it, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
I know that, like you said, there was so much going. It was weird.
Yeah.
The whole combination of Flash Funk and Hack
Yeah.
It's a weird combination, anyways. To be honest with you, I don't know how they ended up together. It wasn't a bad match. It was just a lot. It was a cluster, is what it was. The easiest way to describe it. It was a cluster F, hands down. Good match. It just, like you said, there was like 23 different stipulations. You have to go through like a rule book, and it was like, if this happens, follow this line.
Yeah.
Like there was so much stuff that it took away from the match a little bit. It was still a good match, but yeah, it was interesting.
Definitely interesting. But I will say this, we've covered Public Enemy quite a bit lately, especially with some of the WCW shows that we've done. And I've actually really been entertained by their matches. I mean, they're not great technical matches by any means, but they're always entertaining. I know.
That one they had, was it at Hog Wild or was it Road Wild? One of those pay-per-views we did where they did that triple tail spot.
Yeah, that was with the Disco Inferno.
That was the one where they had to go to the back and get all their stuff and bring it back out against Disco. Yep. And was it Alex Wright or I can't remember, but
yeah,
it was that match where like they went to the back and then came back out with their stuff. And,
yep.
And that match was actually, I mean, for what it was a great match. I mean,
yeah.
I think that for whatever reason, I mean, they had a tryout. They were with WWE for a little while. They had a tryout. They didn't, for some reason, they just didn't work out there. They had a decent run in WCW after this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they might be one of the more underrated teams out there in that era.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, it's listed here on our match sheet. We have Axelrod and JT Smith, but for whatever reason, on the network or whatever, that match wasn't shown. So
yeah, and there's no time either on our thing.
Yeah,
here, so I don't know.
I don't know what's going on with that. So we're just gonna skip over that one because we don't know what happened there.
And you're right. According to the Wikipedia thing, it does have the C next to Sandman. So I would assume he's the television champion, I guess.
Maybe. I know they were the tag team champions going into it.
Yeah. So I
don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, like you said, there was just a lot of gaga in that match. I'm not trying to go backwards. I figured I'd look it up too to try to see if we could decipher what was going on there. But yeah, interesting nonetheless.
Absolutely. Now, this is the next match, probably the best technical match that you're gonna ever find. It's Bill Alfonso and Todd Gordon. Todd Gordon, the former owner of ECW before Paul Heyman took over. And Beulah McGillicuddy or Mrs. Tommy Dreamer is the special guest referee. But, surprise, she gets knocked out.
She gets drilled.
Yep.
She gets nailed in that match. She took a bump like a champ. I remember that. She got nailed.
She did. I mean, the storyline, Bill Alfonso's a referee. They were trying to explain the storyline before the match with the video package. I still didn't really understand it.
Yeah, supposedly he was like a crooked referee, and we all know that Bill Alfonso ends up being more or less a manager for Taz and RVD and stuff like that
Sabu,
going forward. Yeah. Sabu, stuff like that. So I mean, he ends up not being a referee much longer than this, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And again, this is all new to us too. So if you guys, are listening to this and you're like, wow, these guys don't know anything, we don't. We didn't see any of this when it happened.
Nope.
So
I was 4 years old when the show happened.
Some of the storylines are lost because we don't know.
Yeah.
We really don't.
Yeah, absolutely. But Taz will come out in his referee gear and attack Todd Gordon and align himself with Bill Alfonso here, saying he was the only one that cared about him when Taz was injured. Taz is just coming back from an injury here in this pay-per-view or Supercard event. So Taz counts the fall, and Bill Alfonso's your winner.
Yeah, I mean, for what it was a little sloppy, obviously, because they're both not wrestlers, but it was entertaining. Put it that way. It really was. And the payoff with, Taz coming out and not knowing whose side he was on right away, the way that went was kind of neat. And like I said, they both did some decent moves. I mean, they weren't 450 splashes or anything in the match, but they were throwing some decent working punches and kicks and clotheslines, and it wasn't. It was no worse than some of the stuff Vince McMahon's done in his career. So.
Yeah.
So we'll put it that way.
Yep. All right, next up is the singles match for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the Sandman is supposed to be the opponent here against Mikey Whipwreck, who's the champion. But that's not going to work out because Steve Austin is going to attack Sandman before the match. He's going to do a stun gun on the guardrail, which is going to wipe Sandman out. And Steve Austin assumes the spot of the Sandman, and he's going to challenge for the World Heavyweight title. There's a cool little promo before the match where he said that temporarily Mikey Whipwreck is going to be Eric Bischoff because he just got fired from WCW allegedly by FedEx.
Fired by FedEx. FedEx. The infamous fired by FedEx.
Yep. So Steve Austin pretty much dominates this whole match, but Mikey Whipwreck is going to get the win with a roll-up, and he's going to retain his championship.
Yeah, interesting times. Mikey Whipwreck, not a very believable anything.
Yeah.
He's that underdog kind of, joke type character. A little bit. I mean, maybe he's like the Tommy Dreamer before Tommy Dreamer. Like, you associate him with ECW, like back in the day. So, the ultimate underdog, I guess. The Spike Dudley spot.
Yeah.
goes to Mikey Whipwreck, but it was cool to see Steve full mullet.
Yep.
Still rocking the mullet. And yeah, the Eric Bischoff part was pretty cool, where he was like, you're not going to be him, you're going to be Eric Bischoff. And it was an interesting way to end the show. To have that match, rather, to not have Sandman in it, and to kind of make Steve Austin have an appearance on the show. It was definitely very creative, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And just an interesting side note, in case you didn't know, Steve Austin learned the Stone Cold Stunner from Mikey Whipwreck.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. That's cool.
Yep. He kind of took it, because Mikey Whipwreck kind of did a version of the Stunner as the Whippersnapper, and kind of passed it on to Steve Austin there. So that's
pretty neat. So I mean, the cup of coffee that he was in ECW for paid off in more than what we know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, got a couple more matches to go through here. Next is a singles match. You have the returning Sabu here. He's going to get a win over Hack Myers in about 13 minutes. Pretty good match. I wasn't really familiar with Hack Myers at all. Obviously, I knew Sabu and Sabu's work. I thought this was a pretty good match. Paul Heyman's out here with Sabu. I thought this was a pretty entertaining match, and they made the crowd go home happy. Well, it's not the main event, but with the returning Sabu getting the win.
Yeah, no, it was like you said. I hadn't been privy to much of Hack Myers' work, but it was really good. And obviously, we both know Sabu. I mean, anybody that's been around should know the name Sabu. And it was an interesting dynamic having Paul Heyman, Paulie out there. At this point too, Paulie's about 150 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
He hasn't had WWF catering for that amount of time. That's a running joke between Tony Schiavone and Paul Heyman. Conrad during the podcast, What Happened When podcast, always have to direct Tony from picking on Paul Heyman. He's like, why are you doing this? He's like, you're not even friends. He's like, it's so. But yeah, it's funny to see Heyman 25 years ago. It had a lot more hair as well, just like Steve did. But it was a decent match, and again, from that tag match on, this show really picked up. Yeah,
absolutely. And a really awesome main event here. You should know all of these guys in this main event. You have
I would hope.
Yes, it's a tag team match. You have Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer taking on Raven and Cactus Jack. They're gonna get Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer are gonna get the win here. This was a bloody mess. It was a hardcore ECW rules match. Everybody was busted open in this match. Finish comes with a pile driver on the chair, and Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer are going to get the win in what I thought was a very entertaining match and a good way to end the show.
Yeah, this match was, I mean, when you look at the card, I know we looked at the card, before we decided to go with this match, to me, made it worth watching. Just based on the names that were in it. It was interesting, the shirt Cactus Jack was wearing, or the two shirts.
Yeah.
He had the Dungeon of Doom shirt on to start, and then he had the Eric Bischoff shirt, and there was one point where Terry Funk, or was it Cactus Jack was in the corner, and was it Dreamer that was punching him when he pulled the shirt up over his head, or was
it was Dreamer, I think.
Funk? I can't remember, but either way, that was a pretty cool spot where they pulled up the Bischoff shirt over his head, so he was like punching Bischoff.
Yep.
That was a pretty cool spot. I can't remember if it was Funk or Dreamer, one or the other, obviously, but this was definitely cool to watch, to go back knowing where all these guys went. I mean, Terry Funk's a legend of the business then, let alone what he is now. This is before Cactus Jack was Mankind, or any of the stuff he had done in WWE. Dreamer, obviously the heart and soul of ECW as it would end up. So it was really cool. And Raven, that character, made him. He was obviously, Johnny Polo and Scotty Flamingo and all these guys before the Raven character. So the Raven character definitely made Raven, obviously. It just, there's no other way around it. He tried some other characters, it didn't work out. And if he didn't have the Raven gimmick, I don't know what he would be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I thought definitely a really awesome way to end the show with the star power that was in that main event. I thought the show was pretty good. Like you said, it started off a little slow and a little confusing. But I mean, I'm gonna probably give this a good solid 7 for a rating. I thought the back half of the matches were really good, especially the main event. Yeah, no,
you throw out the first, half hour or so of the show roughly, and this show was easily an 8 or a 9, in my opinion. But yeah, I'd say it definitely. I mean, it seems like a lot of shows we do end up in the 7 range, which is good though, because we don't want to do really good shows all the time because it's hard to do, and we don't want to do bad shows. I mean, that's why we jumped out of the Battle Bowl thing. We're like, nope, this is garbage. We're going, and it's like I said, it's too bad because there's a lot of really good names on that show.
Yeah.
So, but it was interesting. It was definitely. I'm glad that we made the audible. Like I said, sorry that you had to watch most of the other show, but very pleased that we made the decision to switch.
Absolutely, me too. Definitely the right decision there, and hopefully you guys liked our rundown of November to Remember 1995. And next week is our big anniversary show. We got lots of surprises for you.
Which is really just later on today.
Which can be later on today. Yeah, it's not gonna be next week.
We've already given everybody a peek behind the curtain that we're recording this today, a week late. So
yeah, that's true.
Obviously, later on today we're gonna be having the extravaganza that is the 1-year anniversary of Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present. Yeah, I don't usually get to say that, so I figured I'd say it once. That's usually your gimmick. So I rattled it off pretty good though, I think. But yeah, no. Yeah, full disclosure, it's coming later today. We're gonna put this on as soon as we're done with this one, and then our 50-second episode will be at 5 o'clock like it normally is.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for that. Until then, so we'll be back in just a couple hours. Until then, I'm Tim Curry.
And I'm Ron Fuller.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.